Hi everybody, and welcome back to Teachers Talk Money, where I help teachers master their money in order to give back to themselves. Today we're going to very quickly be going over my budget for April. Similarly to the past couple of months, the first few months of 2021, this is another month where I'm expecting to get sort of a lump sum of money. So in January I had my third paycheck and we wound up getting a stimulus check that month too. In February, I got a few of my stipends, or at least partial stipends, paid out. And then in March, we got another stimulus check as well, which was unexpected, but another thing that happened. And in April, this is the month when I'm actually expecting to get my tax refunds. So once again, I'm sort of making a more bare bones budget based on just my income, while still expecting to sort of receive a lump sum at some point. Definitely not complaining about that. It's been wonderful to sort of like super fund my investment and my savings goals right up front for the beginning of the year in 2021, but it has been a little bit harder in terms of planning. And unlike sort of the stimulus checks where I had a little bit of advance notice, or my stipends, or my third paycheck where I had a little bit of advance notice, really don't have any idea how much my refunds will be worth at this point. So I will throw you over my shoulder and let's take a look at my budget spreadsheet to see sort of what the bare bones numbers are, and then talk about how my tax refunds might play into it when I do get them. Okay, so here we are in my budget spreadsheet for April. And like I said, I'm just budgeting based off of my normal expected income, and then somewhere along the line expecting to get a refund, most likely for my taxes. I'm pretty sure that everything is essentially the same from March, so I'll just speak a little bit about each of the different categories. Starting with my fixed costs, I'm still doing $828 for my portion of the rent, my normal $82 for my bundled car and renter's insurance, $45 for my phone bill, $10 for subscriptions, which are really just a couple of recurring costs, and $70 for Hattie's needs. So all of that is the same as it basically always is. And then there's my variable costs, which are the costs that change each month, and therefore I need to actually track what I spent each month. I'm continuing with $210 for groceries and $190 for dining. I just moved $10 over to groceries because that's where I would typically go a little bit over, whereas for dining I would go a bit under. And then gas I'm keeping at $90. That's been so far so good in terms of enough money to pay for my gas to and from the school I work at, given that I'm only commuting 4 out of 5 days a week, which is going to continue in April because we're going back into the building, but only for 4 days a week because they're going to clean the building on Wednesdays. $60 for my utilities, which has been more than enough for every month so far, and then finally just $80 to any of my other costs. I do kind of want to make a note about fixed and variable costs, just something I've been noticing sort of in the personal finance world that I think is speaking a little bit to me, and that's the fact that a lot of times we talk about cutting spending on sort of these more discretionary things like lowering my grocery bill or not eating out as much, or, not buying as many miscellaneous things, not buying as many clothes or whatever. And that to me is like so much less useful in actually moving the needle in your budget than analyzing the costs that you have that are actually recurring and the exact same every month. For example, I could move the needle probably a little bit, maybe $30 or so a month in dining and not, cutting back on that a little bit and that not being too much of a challenge. But I could much more easily move the needle by affecting something in my fixed costs, especially like my rent. A lot of people pay a lot more money for car insurance than they necessarily have to, just because they haven't done the shopping around. Other fixed costs that are costing people a lot is usually car payments. If you have a really big car payment, I think the average is like over $300 or $400 now. that is a huge thing you can do that can move the needle a lot with just a little bit of concerted effort versus consistently throughout the month trying to cut back on these sort of smaller variable things. So I guess what I'm saying is just don't just focus on like, you know, the punitive kind of latte factor-esque budget cuts. If you're trying to cut your expenses, which I think we should all sort of be thinking about at least, focus on the big ticket items because those are where you could probably actually move the needle more. Now, let's head over to my savings, which are pretty bare bones right now. I'm not super pleased with these, but at the same time, I am expecting to get another lump sum of money and beef these up a little bit. I've got $60 going to gifts, just $70 to travel this month, $60 to my business, $355, which I absolutely have to be saving in order to survive over the summer, and $178 to grad school that will cover a 3-credit course in the current program I'm taking. So, and again, that's the bare minimum I should be saving for pretty much all of these things. But should I get my refunds this month, a lot more will be going to certainly these top 3: gifts, travel, and business. I don't really need to add anything more to my summer fund. That's being funded exactly how it needs to be. And I saved a ton of my stimulus check towards my grad school or like further education fund. So I really don't need to be putting too much more into that either. So that's my thinking. Everything is really bare bones at the moment in terms of my savings, but hopefully I'll be able to add to those should I get my refunds this month. In terms of my notes section, I don't think anything's changed too much, although I did get more accurate numbers for the exact amount of stipend I am receiving after tax and 457 deductions, because I do get 457 deductions for these stipends as well. And the total, I believe, this one for girls volleyball, which I have not coached before, and it's a different amount. I'm not totally sure. This is really an estimate, but altogether it should be about $4,200. I've got my running total for my Roth IRA, which is now at $2,825. So almost halfway to fully funding that for 2021, which is really exciting because we are only in month 4 of the year. And other than that, I think all of my notes are the same. And if you're new here, I also have my running totals section so that I can keep track of expenses as they come up for all of my different variable categories. If you would like to get my budget spreadsheet, please go to the link in the description of this video and you can get this exact spreadsheet. I also have another spreadsheet option and a pen and paper version if that is something that you like to work with better. So pretty short video because my budget is just really simple and there are just so many question marks in terms of what my income this month will actually look like. But thank you so much for joining me. Please make sure to like this video, leave a comment if you have any questions or just want to share some support for me. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and tell other teacher friends about this channel so that I can continue growing the channel. Have a fantastic week, everybody, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, so I just rewatched the video I just recorded when I was going over my budget, and I realized I never actually talked about my explicit plans for my tax refund.